Tiffany's heart is spinning again. One moment, she's riding for Nuck like he's her forever. The next, she's locking eyes with Victor like he's the only man who ever truly saw her. It's been 7 seasons, and still, she can't decide. Why is this choice so hard for her? And more importantly, what does it say about the men fighting for her love? Let's dig into the layers of this triangle, because what's happening between Tiffany, Nuck, and Victor isn't just romance, it's survival, identity, and a woman stuck between 2 completely different worlds. Tiffany has always been a complicated woman. Not messy, just layered. From her early days in the Chi, she's shown us she's more than just a pretty face caught up in somebody else's drama. She's a mother, a hustler, and a woman who wants more. But every season, we see her pulled in opposite directions, and now in season 7. That pull has only gotten stronger. Let's be real, this isn't just about Nuck versus Victor. This is about who Tiffany wants to be. Nuck represents her past. The streets. The grind. That fast life where love means loyalty, even when it hurts. Victor, on the other hand, is the future. A man who left the streets, who's trying to change the community, who talks about stability and legacy. So every time Tiffany is with Nuck, she feels seen by the person who knows her before the glow. But when she's with Victor, she feels like maybe, just maybe, she could be more than her past. But here's where it gets deep. Tiffany doesn't fully believe she deserves more. That's the real issue. She's stuck. One part of her wants to level up, but the other part is scared that the new version of her, the version that fits with Victor, is a lie, that she's pretending to be someone she's not. And when someone feels like that, it's easy to fall back into what feels familiar, even if it's toxic. Look at her moments with Nuck. There's fire there. Passion, the way they talk, fight, even touch, it's like they're locked into each other, like they speak the same emotional language. But the problem is, Nuck doesn't offer peace. He offers protection, sure, and maybe even loyalty, but that doesn't equal growth. Every time they connect, it feels like Tiffany is being pulled backward. With Victor, it's different. He listens. To her, he makes plans. He talks about a future that doesn't involve looking over your shoulder. And we've seen Tiffany soften around him like she wants to believe it's possible to have something good. But here's the twist. Victor's version of love isn't always exciting. It's stable. It's safe. And for someone like Tiffany, who's used to love being loud and chaotic, that can feel like boredom, even though it's actually peace. This is the core of her struggle. Chaos.com. History versus healing. When she leans toward Nuck, we're watching a woman fighting for the version of herself that survived, but when she leans toward Victor, we're watching a woman trying to become something more, even if she's not sure she knows how. And that's why the choice isn't easy. Not for her, not for us watching. Because this isn't a question of who's better. It's about who Tiffany feels she can be with without losing herself. Tiffany and Nuck's relationship isn't just complicated, it's charged. Every scene between them in season 7 feels like it could explode. At any second, there's tension, chemistry, and something unspoken that always lingers in the air. To understand Tiffany's pull toward Nuck, we have to look at the foundation. Nuck is part of her world. The world where trust is rare, where you build your own safety net, and where being understood is more important than being adored. Nuck knows that world. He doesn't ask Tiffany to explain herself because in many ways, he already gets it. There's a comfort in that. A kind of bond that can't be faked. That's why when Tiffany's around him, there's this sense that she can let her guard down not because she feels safe, but because she knows how to play this game. But the problem with Nuck is, he's a man built on control. He's not soft. He doesn't open up. He leads with power, not emotion. And that power, it's attractive, especially to someone like Tiffany who's had to fight for every bit of ground she's gained. When Nuck shows up, he shows up big. Money, muscle, that I got you, no matter what energy. And Tiffany needs that, or at least, she thinks she does. In season 7, we've seen this side of their dynamic more than ever. There's a scene where Nuck comes to Tiffany's defense in a way that's bold and protective. And for a moment, you can see it in her eyes. That old spark, that fire, that belief that this man will ride for her no matter what. And let's be honest, that kind of loyalty is rare. When someone shows up like that, it's hard not to feel something real. But the question is, what kind of love is that? Is it love built on trust, or fear? On healing, or survival? Because when things settle down, when the drama fades, what's left between them? Nuck doesn't talk about dreams. He doesn't ask about what Tiffany wants next. He just wants her close? And maybe that's not enough anymore. There's also an unspoken power imbalance between them. Nuck makes the moves. Nuck calls the shots. Tiffany, in many moments, is reacting, not choosing. And that's a problem. Because love without choice isn't really love. It's possession. And while Nuck might care deeply for her, the way he expresses that love doesn't always leave room for Tiffany to grow. Still, we can't ignore the real bond they share. They've been through things together. There's history there. And sometimes, history feels heavier than hope. It's easier to fall back into what you know than to step into the unknown. Tiffany knows what she gets with Nuck. She knows how to move in his world. There's a rhythm to their chaos that makes sense to her. But just because something feels familiar doesn't mean it's right. And the audience can see it. The cracks, the danger, the way she sometimes looks over her shoulder like she's questioning everything. She might ride with Nuck in public, but behind closed doors, it's not clear she's at peace. And that's the real heartbreak. So, is it love? Or is it just loyalty? Maybe it's both. But for Tiffany, that mix might not be enough anymore. Not if she wants something deeper, something lasting, something free. Tiffany's moments with Victor feel different, calmer, slower, less like a storm, more like a quiet breath after one. And that's why it's so confusing for her. Because for a woman who's used to surviving chaos, peace can feel like something's missing. But is that emptiness real? Or is it just fear? Victor, aka Trig, is everything Nuck isn't. He's grounded, he thinks before he moves. He's been in the streets, but he's not of the streets anymore. He's grown. He's working to build something real, not just for himself, but for his community. And when he looks at Tiffany, he doesn't see someone to protect. He sees someone to build with. That matters. In Season 7, their interactions are full of moments that feel like second chances. You know those scenes, the soft lighting, the long stares, the conversations that don't end in shouting. When Tiffany's with Victor, she's not on edge. That's unfamiliar territory for her. Which is exactly why it's so hard to trust. Victor offers her something Nuck never has. Space to grow. He asks about her future, her dreams, her choices. He doesn't try to control her. He tries to understand her. That's huge, because deep down, Tiffany's been longing for someone who sees all of her, not just the surface. Not just the ride-or-die woman. The mother. The business owner. The human being. But here's where things get tricky. Just because Victor's love is stable doesn't mean it's perfect. Tiffany still doubts it, not because of anything he's done, but because of what she's been through. She's wondering, do I even deserve this kind of love? And that's the question that keeps pulling her back. Because when you've lived in survival mode for so long, safety can look like a setup. She also doesn't quite fit into Victor's world. Not yet, anyway. Victor's working on his public image, his political goals, his new identity. He's moving upward and Tiffany knows it. And there's a small part of her that fears she might become a side story in his journey, that she might not be enough for the life he's building. And that insecurity. It's real, it's valid. That's the illusion of safety. On the outside, Victor feels like the right choice. The smart choice. But love isn't math, it's feeling. And Tiffany is still learning how to feel safe in a relationship that isn't built on adrenaline and highs and lows. That kind of love takes trust, not just in the other person, but in yourself. There's also a layer of guilt in her connection to Victor. Guilt for feeling drawn to him when things with Nuck are still open-ended. Guilt for wanting something different when she's built so much of her life around surviving pain. Guilt for maybe being the one to break someone's heart instead of always being the one left behind. And yet, when she's with Victor, you can see something shift. There's hope in her eyes. Not fireworks, but something steadier. Like maybe, just maybe, she could finally stop running. So is it real, or is it just the illusion of safety? That's what Tiffany has to figure out. Because love that feels calm can still be deep. Still be wild in its own quiet way. But if she doesn't learn to trust it, to trust herself in it, she might walk away from the one good thing she's ever had. Tiffany stands at a crossroads, and every time it looks like she's about to choose, she pulls back. It's not about playing games. It's not about keeping both men around for attention. It's deeper than that. The truth is, Tiffany can't choose between Nuck and Victor because she hasn't fully chosen herself yet. This entire love triangle is really about Tiffany's inner conflict. On the outside, it looks like two men pulling her in different directions, but inside, it's her trying to figure out who she really is. With Nuck, she feels powerful but trapped. With Victor, she feels hopeful but unsure. And somewhere in between all that, she's still carrying the weight of everything she's been through, the betrayals, the disappointments, the moments when love meant pain. Let's be honest. Tiffany's been surviving for so long, she hasn't had time to heal. Every relationship she's had has been shaped by survival. Even now, her idea of love is still tangled up with who's there when things get rough, not who helps her grow when things are calm. That's why she keeps swinging between Nuck and Victor. She knows how to survive with both, in different ways, but she doesn't know how to thrive, not yet. And let's not forget, choosing either man means giving something up. If she chooses Nuck, she gives up the chance at peace. She gives up growth. She chooses a man who loves her fiercely but lives in a world that doesn't leave room for softness. A world that might always come with danger, silence, and emotional walls. She knows that version of love well, but it comes at a price. If she chooses Victor, she gives up the chaos, the fire, the part of herself that learned to be strong in the storm. She risks being with someone who expects her to become a version of herself she's not sure she can sustain. Victor is stability, but can he accept all of her? The raw, unpolished parts, Tiffany doesn't know. And then there's the third option, the one no one's talking about, but maybe should be. What if Tiffany doesn't choose either of them? What if her real growth is walking away from both men, taking space to heal, and finally asking, who am I when I'm not tied to a man? That's the kind of ending we rarely see, but maybe that's what she needs. Because love shouldn't be about choosing between two men, it should be about choosing the life that brings you peace, power, and purpose. Tiffany's not confused, she's evolving. She's realizing that love isn't always enough. Not when it comes with sacrifice, fear, or pretending to be someone you're not. And maybe, just maybe, the strongest move she can make is stepping away from the triangle and building her own path. But until then, she remains stuck. One foot in her past, the other reaching for something new. And that's why we're all still watching, waiting, hoping. Because deep down, we all want to see Tiffany choose, not just between Nuck and Victor, but to finally choose herself. When it comes down to it, the Chi isn't just showing us a love triangle. It's showing us a woman stuck between her reflection and her rebirth. Tiffany's struggle is about more than Nuck and Victor, it's about the cost of transformation, about the emotional tug-of-war between who we were and who we're trying to become. Tiffany isn't indecisive, she's wounded. She's exhausted. And in a world where love has always meant either sacrifice or survival, it's no wonder she hasn't made a final decision. Nuck makes her feel fierce but keeps her in the past. Victor makes her feel seen but challenges her to rise. And when you've been through trauma, when your worth has been questioned again and again, the scariest thing isn't losing a man, it's losing yourself in someone else's version of you. And here's the heartbreaking twist. Both men are right for her and wrong for her. Nuck knows her story. Victor wants to help her rewrite it, but Tiffany's journey is about realizing she holds the pen. The audience sees it, that flicker in her eyes every time she's alone. That moment where she looks like she's finally asking the most important question, what do I need? So, will she choose Nuck, the one who's loyal but locked in his ways? Will she choose Victor, the one who offers peace, but comes with pressure to evolve? Or will she do the boldest thing a woman like Tiffany can do, and walk away from both? That's the tension at the heart of Season 7. That's why we keep watching. Because deep down, the Chi is telling a story many of us recognize. A story about how hard it is to grow. About how love isn't always enough to make someone stay. And how sometimes, the most powerful thing a woman can do is let go. So no, Tiffany still hasn't made her choice. And maybe that's the point. Because love stories don't always end in happily ever after. Sometimes, they end in freedom. And whatever path she takes next. One thing's for sure, it's gonna be her choice, on her terms. In her time, So now I'm asking you, are you still riding with Nuck? Hoping she picks Victor? Or are you like me? Thinking maybe it's time she chooses none of the above and starts over? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications because you already know. With the chi, the drama's just getting started. Asterisk.